Number 11. Walmart Brawl. Footage of a disturbing fight between two Walmart customers in Colorado Springs went viral in 2020, leaving viewers curious about how the brawl got started in the first place. While the exact circumstances leading up to the first punch are unclear, it appears as though a woman who was waiting in line told the woman behind her to respect social distancing guidelines and give her some space. Soon enough, the woman in front began throwing the customer's items off the conveyor belt, and a fist fight ensued. For several minutes, the women pulled each other's hair and took swings at one another. A worker tried to separate them and at one point asked one of the women if they wanted to go to jail. Witnesses found it interesting that the woman who initially complained about social distancing and was later identified as 60-year-old Laura Barr wasn't even wearing a mask, even though the store required it. Police charged her with third-degree assault for her role in the fight. In another shocking Walmart fight that was captured on video back in 2015, a 6-year-old boy took it upon himself to get involved in a squabble between his mom and another shopper in Indiana. The boy's mother had gotten into some sort of altercation with a woman on a motorized cart in the store's shampoo aisle and was holding her opponent down on the floor when the youngster decided to kick the victim in the head. In a shocking example of how children learn from example, he told the woman lying on the floor that she couldn't tell him to stop. Understanding that he was a kid who didn't know any better, she compassionately replied, "No, you're right, baby. Protect your mom." Throughout the fight, bystanders can be heard telling the women to stop and that there are children nearby witnessing the incident, but no adults even tried to intervene. Viewers were equally put off by the childish spat, with one commentator describing it as white trash at its finest. Number 10. Frenzied teenagers. Christmas shoppers were horrified on December 13, 2020, when a man was knifed to death outside the Harrowtown Center following a dispute on Snapchat. Two 19-year-olds, Ricardo Williams and Johnny Menzies Samuels, fatally stabbed Hussein Al-Sabri in front of shocked shoppers inside the doorway of a Tesco Express, and he collapsed and died right there on the scene. The 23-year-old man was stabbed in the stomach with a Rambo knife, while two friends he had been shopping with narrowly escaped with their lives after they too were slashed by the attackers. Both the teenagers were arrested and then convicted by a jury and sentenced to more than 50 years in prison. During the court proceedings, it was revealed in the months prior to the attack that Ricardo Williams had been belittled on a Snapchat video by a group of youths calling him names. This led to a revenge plan, which accumulated in the knifing on December 13th. It was all just revenge over a silly video carried out on one of the busiest shopping streets in town. The teenagers had absolutely no chance of not getting caught perpetrating such a brutal attack in front of so many people, and yet they did it anyway. Number 9. Cocaine bananas. Police in the European country of Czech seized 1,852 pounds of cocaine. The cocaine was hidden inside boxes of bananas that got shipped to several supermarkets in the country. Grocery store workers were shocked when they opened up the boxes to unload the bananas for eager shoppers, only to discover massive bricks of cocaine wrapped in some kind of green cellophane. These were molded cocaine cubes, the kind you see in the movies, just sitting there in cardboard boxes of bananas. What's really crazy is that this wasn't an isolated incident. Cocaine bananas were shipped to supermarkets in Prague and other small towns. What the police know right now is that the drugs arrived in Europe at a port in Hamburg, Germany in 2022. Then they were delivered to the supermarkets on the other side of Europe. Police believe they were supposed to be intercepted by smugglers, but the smugglers made a mistake and missed the transports, and the cocaine actually ended up in the grocery stores. To give you an idea of how much this stuff was worth, it could have gone for over $86 million on the local market. As of yet, no arrests have been made, and the cops aren't exactly sure which criminal organization was behind the shipment. Number 8. Shopping cart thieves. In the city of Akron, Ohio, a brave worker at the Dollar General tried to stop two women stealing a pair of shopping carts full of items. Each woman walked into the store, filled their respective shopping cart up with cheap dollar store goods, and then made a brazen getaway. The worker tried to stop them, but the women fought back and beat them up. The worker was kicked in the head several times, and then ran over by a shopping cart full of cheap stuff. The incident happened just after 9 o'clock in the morning in February of 2022. The victim hasn't been named for privacy reasons, but was identified as being 46 years old. We also know the individual was the manager and suffered a major beatdown at the hands of the thieves. Not only did they kick him and run him over, but they also scratched and spit at him. To make things even more unbelievable, the thieves got away with their loot. 2 full shopping carts, a brutal assault, and the women just ran off into the morning, never to be seen again. Number 7. Babies in the car. A mother in California was arrested back in the summer of 2018 for leaving her babies in a Walmart parking lot. Her name is Crystal Reyna Gonzalez, 34 years old at the time of her arrest. Police allege that she left 2 infants, just tiny little babies, in a blazing hot car for over 30 minutes. There was no air conditioning. Temperatures soared to almost 100 degrees outside, and so it was even hotter inside the stuffy vehicle. The mother left the kids while she roamed around Walmart in the air conditioning, doing some leisurely shopping in Ontario, California. Luckily, Good Samaritans noticed the children in the vehicle while they were walking through the parking lot and called the police. One of the children was just around 1 year old, and the other was only 9 months. They were locked inside the white GMC, and the concerned citizens in the parking lot couldn't get the doors open to rescue the children. Somebody started recording. A massive crowd formed around the car, and that was around the time the police showed up. The person recording went on filming the vehicle for 11 minutes before Crystal finally strolled up to her car like nothing had ever happened. She opened the vehicle, the police removed the children, and she was immediately arrested on suspicion of child endangerment. Number 6. Savior in the grocery store. A man in Texas has been labeled a hero after he saved a woman's life while shopping at a grocery store in 2020. His name is Justin Thomas, and he had gone to the grocery store never imagining he would end up somebody's savior. He ran into his local Kroger in League City and walked straight into a life or death situation. According to NBC News, the father of 4, someone who also happens to be certified in CPR and a practicing electrician, was buying some milk when he heard a blood-curdling scream from a few aisles over. He ran in that direction, and that was when he saw an old lady lying on the floor, as if she had just gotten shot. Thomas knew immediately that the woman was having a heart attack. He had served for 10 years with the United States Coast Guard and knew exactly what to do. While everyone else was just crowding the woman, who had nearly dropped dead while trying to do some shopping, Thomas lurched into action. He gave her CPR and chest compressions and kept her alive until paramedics came. Following the dramatic episode at the grocery store, Justin received a message from the woman's family confirming that she had survived, and it was all because of him. Doctors said that if it hadn't been for Justin's quick actions, that woman would have died on the floor of the Kroger's. Number 5. Shopping Mall Rampage. Raphael Chiavello went on a rampage at a Manchester shopping mall in the UK, assaulting 5 individuals with a knife. He wounded 3, attempted to wound 2 more, and all for apparently no reason other than that he was insane. The terrifying shopping mall rampage took place on October 11, 2019. Raphael was a known cannabis user, and he suffered from schizophrenia. He was admitted to a hospital back in 2006 for his psychiatric illness, which he had suffered pretty much his whole life. A forensic psychiatrist said that it was highly unlikely that Raphael would ever commit a violent offense, unless of course he was having a schizophrenic attack. It also came out during the trial that medical personnel and Raphael's family members were aware of his deteriorating mental state. He was in a downward spiral, which landed him at the Arndale Mall that day. The attack was traumatizing for everyone present. He caused widespread fear and panic. One of the victims was a woman in her 30s walking with her husband. Raphael smiled at her just before he lashed out with a knife. He then attacked a woman in her 40s pushing a baby in a stroller, who only narrowly escaped death because the knife skidded across her ribs. His victims included a 21-year-old woman from Ireland, an engineer in her 60s, and a 52-year-old woman who worked at a department store. The attack lasted approximately 1 minute and 27 seconds, and it was clearly targeted at women. In the end, Raphael was sentenced to a hospital order by the Manchester Crown Court. This means that because of his unstable mental state, he's going to be locked in a hospital for the foreseeable future, but probably not forever. Number 4. Security guard attack. A local transient got into an argument with a security guard at a Riverside shopping center in California and almost beat the man to death. It happened on a Thursday night in April of 2022 in the parking lot of the shopping center. The security guard's job was to be outside and protect the property, to protect the customers, and to ask anyone with no business at the shopping center to please leave. And that was exactly what he was doing when he got attacked. The Riverside Police Department have identified the attacker as Emmanuel Aram, a vagrant who hangs around in the area. When the security guard asked Emmanuel to leave the property, the transient snapped at him and unleashed a vicious assault. The security guard will live, but he's undoubtedly traumatized and shaken, and will probably be for the rest of his life. To make matters worse, the police were well aware of Emmanuel and how dangerous he is to society, but they let him roam free. He has a long criminal history and has been repeatedly arrested, especially in the last 6 years. His crimes involve all kinds of things, including assaulting police officers. The attack wasn't even a big surprise to local residents. Jack Lagova, who lives in the area, told Eyewitness News that he doesn't like his female relatives using the laundromat at the mall alone, regardless of day or night, because the whole area has become so unpredictable. Number 3. The Russian shopping mall fire. In March of 2018, a fire broke out at a shopping mall in the Siberian city of Kemerovo. The unquenchable blaze tore through the mall, trapping shoppers in a dense smog of toxic smoke. It killed at least 64 people, 41 of them young children. A class of school kids had been inside the center when it burst into flames, and every single one of them got trapped in the burning mall. It happened early on a Sunday morning at the Winter Cherry Shopping Mall. Because it was the first weekend of the spring holiday season, the place was bursting with families and kids. Most of these families had gathered in the play area near the movie theater. When the fire broke out, the fire exits had been locked, and the alarm system had been switched off, and so nobody had anywhere to go. These people were literally stuck inside the mall, and some of the school kids actually posted to social media in the moments before they were engulfed in flames. One student from the 5th grade, named Maria Moros, posted, "We're burning, it's probably goodbye." She and her entire class would be dead just minutes later. In the aftermath, nothing really happened. There were memorials and tributes, but the tragedy was mostly swept under the rug. The official number is 64 dead, although others claim it's actually in the hundreds. The mall was already unsafe, considering it had been converted from a communist confectionery factory into a shopping center, a veritable death trap with few windows and almost no exits. Nobody knows what started the fire, or at least nobody who knows has made the information public. Number 2. Washington underwear thieves. 2 teenagers were arrested in June 2022 for a brazen midday shoplifting spree in which they stole underwear and then pulled a weapon on a security guard. It happened at a South Hill Mall in Puyallup, Washington. According to what Captain Ryan Portman told the Tacoma News-Tribune, the thieves began stealing underwear at about 5 o'clock in the evening. When they were busted, one of the suspects pulled out a gun, jammed it in the security guard's face, and then they made a break for it. The suspect with the gun was only 16 years old and had already resorted to a life of underwear banditry. But these underwear bandits didn't get too far, as they were captured by an unmarked police car who found the duo making their escape. Both the teens were arrested and booked into the local jail, and their loaded gun was taken away from them. We don't know how much underwear they got away with, or if they threatened any other shoppers with a loaded weapon. Number 1. Austin robbery spree. In Austin, Texas, 4 suspects went on an almost unbelievable crime spree. In June of 2022, these 4 thieves pulled off a string of 9 armed robberies before their final victim struck back. The robberies took place over about a week, with all the perpetrators being under the age of 19. They started on June 10th in downtown Austin and spread all the way to the north of the city. Their main target was busy business areas outside local shopping centers and strip malls. One of the suspects would walk from the vehicle into the busy area outside the mall, point a handgun, demand someone's stuff, and then pistol whip the victim before running back to the car. These victims were just trying to do some shopping, only to walk outside and be robbed at gunpoint. But it all came to a dramatic end on June 14th. The suspects pulled their vehicle up outside a shopping mall and picked out their targets, a male and a female who were walking into the mall. The man had a backpack on, and so the thieves thought he might have some good stuff in it. One of the robbers pointed his handgun at the female, and that was when the man pulled out his own gun and did not hesitate to start shooting. He shot multiple times at the robber, but only managed to hit him in the leg. The robber then gave up and ran away, and the suspects fled, but they were quickly apprehended by the police, who later identified two of them as having already been arrested as juveniles in 2021 for a completely different string of robberies. Would you rather have your shopping interrupted by a maniac with a knife or a gang of frenzied teenagers? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching today's video.